Hello and welcome to the Birchal Podcast. My name is Emily Macfarlane and I am your host. Today I am here with Ash Brown, the founder of Empiraa, which is a strategic consulting and software solution for businesses. Welcome.
Thanks, Em. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, nice and comfortable on a cold day.
Oh, God, tell me about it. Melbourne's been that cold.
Yeah.
So you're at the start of a capital raise at the moment with Birchal. Tell me a little bit about how you came into the industry, SaaS, what's going on there, and is it as difficult as it sounds to run a SaaS business?
It is. The challenge recently has been software fatigue.
Right.
So it's easy to launch a SaaS business. There's hundreds of them. Go on Product Hunt. There's 50 getting released every week, something different. But the successful ones, and everyone goes back to, okay, Atlassian, product-led growth, Canva, Xero, these type of products. But what people are sort of stopping and starting to realise now that because there's a glut of SaaS products out there, that it can really challenge the user, and suddenly it's software fatigue. So you're asking users that 4 or 5 years ago may have just used maybe Salesforce, maybe a little bit of safety culture, and if their local, whatever system that they had, where it's Excel, Word, and that was about the extent of what people were actually using. And suddenly COVID comes along, the whole world gets flipped on its head like a snow globe. And then what happens is that suddenly everyone's gone, oh crap, we've got to start learning, we've got to learn how to use Zoom. Okay, how many times do you jump on a Zoom meeting and everyone goes, you're on mute?
Honestly, every time I run a webinar, someone's on mute. Someone doesn't know how to share their screen. And so that there is a real microcosm of the problem. Right.
That because everyone's learning all this software. So what the problem is sometimes with SaaS is everyone's built a solution trying to find a problem. And that's where the issue lies. And that's where, like for us, even my own learnings, we built a solution trying to solve a problem, but we realized we're only solving the back end of the equation, not the actual rest of the formula. And that's where like doing the Birchal raises is allowing us to sort of empower the rest of the formula to launch a better product and a better service overall.
How did you find the problem originally that you felt like you needed to actually solve?
I found it because when I was working for 15, 20, Jesus, I'm aging myself now. For about 20 years, I've been involved in sales management, general management of businesses. And I would find that every time I would build a strategy and try to roll it out, and then we'd get state managers to roll out their strategies. They'd come, we'd do this conference. Everyone, usual rah-rah, everyone's all excited. They've spent 6 months building this strategy. And as soon as that conference was over, you check in September. Hey, how you going with your strategy? Oh, we haven't had a chance to do it, blah, blah, blah. So suddenly you're losing all this work at the front end because they spent 3 months building this strategy just for effectively to present to a board and a C-level. And then as soon as it's done, it's like, oh, good, I don't have to worry about that now. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. You've got really good ideas there. You've got some really good KPIs that you wanted to hit.
Yeah.
And there was no vehicle to take it from that to the next level to actually create actions around your strategy.
Okay.
And that's where I started really going, holy crap, this is an actual issue. And then when I left where I was after 10 years and I thought I had this like germ of an idea in my head. And I went to another business. We did a strategy session with a company in Melbourne, did the offsite. And there was an article this morning on Smart Company about how offsites don't work. And I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly it. So we did the 3-day offsite with a strategist, waited 5 weeks for the document to rock up. And again, it was on PowerPoint. I'm like, oh my God. And I knew that the managing director that I was working with, he wouldn't action it. Like he would look at it and just go, oh, and then create a spreadsheet. And that spreadsheet would inevitably will break down and nothing ever got enacted. And I'm like, I think there's something here.
Yeah.
And I was looking for a product. So you go back to, sometimes people build a solution to try to find the problem. I had the problem and I tried to find a solution and I couldn't find a solution that was suitable for a small to medium business. Someone that's going from $1 million up to sort of $100 million, which is a typical small to medium. I know some people will sit there and go, $100 million, is that a small business? Well, technically, yeah, because it hasn't hit mid-market status yet. And then And I realised that was a problem. Then I went from there and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do a bit of a work move from one job to, I went to the general manager of Taxi Box, and same problem. I'm like, okay, we've got this. So I went there with a bit of an eye of, I might go and see if this is actually a real problem in another business. It's actually emerging, and it was. And we're managing things on spreadsheets, and I'm like, okay, cool. I've got to build a solution here. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And how did you understand the addressable market that you were going to actually be solving problems for?
At first, I didn't. I just thought, I just got to fix the problem for me, and there's got to be more me's out there.
Sure.
Which is that what investors want to hear at first? Probably not, because they want you to pull these TAMs and SAMs and SOMs and put it all together. I had no idea what a TAM was. Someone goes, what's your total addressable market? Oh, I don't know, like people? Like you got no idea. Like you're just putting a plane up on the way up. And once I started understanding it, the problem I had was initially was the total addressable market. I sat down and went, well, it's everybody. So you can say every business, and investors, rightfully so, sit there and go, well, that's the worst product to invest in because you're not refined.
Right.
So it took probably a year or so for me to start understanding it, and probably 2 years to go, okay, this is what I'm honing in on. So, and that was, that was sort of small to medium businesses up to sort of mid-markets.
Okay. Do you come from a tech background?
Nah, not at all.
Oh.
But I've always liked tech. So I was an early adopter in, I think 2012, I started using Pipedrive for a CRM because I liked what it was able to allow you to do as a sales manager. Because one of the problems I used to have as a sales manager is sales reps leave and you've got no idea what the hell's going on. So to actually keep your IP in the business and not have it walk out the door once a sales rep leaves was like, oh, gee, that's a great idea. So I went, okay, this is really good. And then I think we were one of the first sort of 500 customers that used Safety Culture, what it was called iAuditor, because we were having complaints that our sites weren't being monitored the way they should have been monitored. So someone suggested it to us. So I've always had a real fascination with tech and the way tech enables.
Yeah, okay.
You do have a more efficient business. And that sort of goes back to why I sort of looked at it and went, well, we don't have a strategy solution here that's easy to use.
It's interesting that you say this. I have a job, and
good to hear.
And I know exactly what you're talking about when you go and do these offsites, and you've hired a facilitator externally. They cost a lot of money, and you come together and you put this huge strategy together. And 6 months' time, you say, what happened to that?
Yeah.
Where was the momentum? Like it just completely gets lost from there. And I wonder how much money are businesses losing from simply wasting time in a strategy that doesn't get executed.
And there's massive amounts of money. Like the average, I think it's the average engagement's roughly about 20 grand for a consultant to do the offsites, to do the paperwork, to put it all together. So you're looking at 20 grand for a consultant to do like 3-4 weeks worth of work with you. Then also take away the fact that if you've got an executive team, so you generally take your executive team, that's the most costly part of your business. So you've got the CEO, the COO, the CFO, the general manager, the sales manager. So you're probably moving, honestly, probably $5,000 or $10,000 a week worth of wages to go there for 3-4 days.
Yeah.
So you start adding the costs, and yes, you've got this amazing document, but Jesus, you could use ChatGPT to write a good document.
Use ChatGPT for everything.
Yeah, well, that's true too. But you can use that to write a nice document. And what happens is you lose this sort of kinetic energy that you get when you do those offsites. You do these offsites, it becomes a bit of a sort of rah type thing, and you sort of go, yeah, we understand our business better than we've ever done it before. Then you go back into the office and the phones start ringing, the emails happen, someone quits, and what happens? Everything just gets thrown out the window.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that people don't want to do strategy. There just hasn't been a solution that's allowed them to do it in a really low touch but high valued way.
So how does Empiraa enter the space at that point then?
That's the key. That's what I was saying before with the equation part. We have one part of the equation. We've got this software, and we talk about SaaS being a real issue, that there's so much product out there, which makes it sort of even hard for investors as well, because investors are going, well, why is this? And someone goes, oh, we're the Uber of this. Oh, we're the Tinder of this. It's like you're sitting there going, oh my God.
The Airbnb of this.
Yeah, we're the Airbnb of this.
If I had $1.
Yeah. And so I sit there and people go, well, what are you? Well, we're really the first that sort of puts consulting and software together. So instead of doing the offsite, you do 3 or 4 sessions online with a consultant. You build your plan. Then we deploy the plan, integrate the plan into your current tech stack, and then roll it out with your staff, roll it out with your team. Then from there, we'll do quarterly business reviews to help you keep on track.
Great.
So what we're doing is really enabling the strategy process from the start, where it's human element, to the end. The software is just an enabler. The software is the vehicle. You've got to have the human element at the start. So because humans trust humans. And that's why a lot of people have said, well, why don't you build AI into the platform to build the plans for them?
Good question.
Well, the reason why is because people don't trust AI yet, and it's crap in, crap out. So you can sit there and go, okay, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I want to be the biggest. Birchal wants to be the biggest investment company in 10 years. And it'll go, okay, you need to do it. And it's like, well, that's not even relevant to my business.
Right.
But if Birchal's talking to someone that's done investment consulting before, they can say, actually, what you need to do is this and this and this. And we've got consultants that work on our behalf that are specialised in growth strategies, OH&S, marketing, and we can match them with the problem that they're trying to solve.
Okay.
So it speeds up that process, takes away the offsites, and gets people working on their strategy, in their businesses faster. So it just becomes part of their workflow.
Yeah, so they're saving time, saving money, increasing efficiency, increasing outcomes. So how long did it take for you to actually build this solution?
So the software took about 1.5 years, and then it took about 1.5 years in market to really get our head around what we had. And we talk about, my market's everybody. The worst thing you can say, looking back at them, I slap myself for thinking it. But the issue is that you sit there and when you've got a really broad product, how do you start niching down?
Yeah.
And when you start niching down, then you start understanding what the actual problem you're solving. And once I got a good feel of, well, customers like the software, but they kept coming back to us and saying, we really want someone to help us take it from, because they're looking at effectively a blank piece of paper.
Yeah.
Okay, what's our goals, what's our KPIs, what's our objectives? And they don't know exactly what they want to write there. So they still need the humans to sort of prime the thoughts and use their expertise. Once that happened, I started having conversations with consultants. Consultants had the same problem flipped. They were trying to find more clients. They were trying to find more work. They were trying to maximize their hours so they were earning more. So for the consultant side of it, the consultants come to us with the problem saying, okay, well, we do an offsite with a client, but we're doing all this pre-work and all this post-work.
Yep.
With Empiraa, we standardize it all. So the customer, the consultant works with, say, Birchal and has the brief on what Birchal's trying to achieve. They go in there, they've got some templates, they work on those templates with them in live time, they hand it over to us. So the pre-work and the post-work's not there, so they're working more efficiently. So, and then they're getting a better return on investment for their work. So we're able to, and by doing that, we're able to keep costs low. So because they're not doing 7 hours of prep work and 7 hours of post work.
Sure.
So then the consultant is working efficiently, the client's working efficiently, and using their software and the solution that Empiraa provides to create value around strategy for the first time.
That's fascinating. And at this point, obviously you're relatively early stage.
Yep.
How many consultants do you have, I guess, would you say, in your portfolio?
Yeah. We've got about a dozen at the moment that we're working with. Reason why we've deliberately done that, we haven't gone nuts on it because we want to make sure that we're keeping it really quarantined. So we don't want to get crap in, crap out. We don't want a consultant that offers bad advice. So these are really vetted by us and people we trust. So a customer comes to us, and we've just launched this product, and already it's meeting demand, which is awesome. And people are coming to us and going, okay, we want to grow our sales, or we're an early stage business. We really want help around this, because the other side of the problem that that I didn't even realise until I started speaking to customers and prospects. People don't know where to find a consultant.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, do you just Google a consultant, but now Empiraa is going to come up?
Yeah, well, or you put on LinkedIn and suddenly your inbox has got 10,000 notifications in there. I haven't even looked at my LinkedIn inbox for 2 years. It's nuts. So suddenly you've got these, you're matchmaking effectively. So I know I said don't ever compare yourself to with Uber or whatever, but same sort of thing. Like in Uber, you don't know who the driver is, but they'll get you to the destination.
You know that they've been vetted.
They know they've been vetted. You know that they've gone through a process. Same sort of thing with Empiraa, but we're using consultants and using our software to enable a better result for everybody.
Right. And then when you look at not to go back to your TAM, but I don't want to trigger you by using...
No. Trigger away.
So when you're looking at your addressable market, how do you go about marketing to them to get them on the platform and utilising it?
Yeah, so right now we actually know what our TAM is. It's a $44 billion US market,
right.
USD market.
Huge.
It's massive because what we've done is we've not gone from consult. So the consulting software, strategy software market was about a $3.8 billion TAM, and it just didn't move the needle. I'm like, well, it doesn't seem like enough because if you win like 1%, don't get me wrong, with 1% you're making good money, but if you really want to make an impact, you need to address a bigger market. And then when we looked at it, 44 billion, it was actually by 2032 going to be 104 billion because it's got 8.9% CAGR every year, which is strong. Marketing towards them is actually a lot simpler because what we've got to do is we've just got to focus in on we can save time and we can give you vision. And that's the key there. We use Empiraa as a strategy software, strategy solution, but in the end, what do we deliver? We deliver time and vision.
Okay.
So we'll give businesses more time, we give consultants more time, and because you can have all the money in the world, but we all run off the one clock. And when it comes to vision, every business wants more vision. Every business wants to know what's going on, even if it's bad. People want to know. You know how many founders and CEOs have gone to me and gone, look, I don't care if it's bad. I just want to know it's bad, and I want to know that I can nip it in the bud and course correct before it gets really bad. And that's why a lot of people sit there and they think, we just want to highlight the good stuff. No. You need to know what strategies aren't working, because that allows you to course correct and learn from those to create better strategies or better KPIs or goals that allows you to move forward.
I imagine for small and early stage businesses, this kind of software is so key in terms of their growth and avoiding potential administration. It's like you've got a crystal ball looking into the future and you can actually see where you're going. Yeah,
and the way we've sort of designed our pricing points, it's from like $2,000 a year. So if you're a small business and you go, well, $2,000 a year, I get a consultant software, and the key is we enable the software for them. It's actually a lot more efficient for us to get it up and running, to connect it up to web briefing for them and get them, because then once they do it, they're customers for life, because they're like, oh, this is great. We actually know where we're going. It becomes part of their process. It's great. So we've actually designed it for smaller businesses, but then as you grow, there's actually bigger packages for bigger businesses. So we're quoting stuff for like 500-600 people, organisations right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So and then those packages are obviously a lot more expensive than $2,000. But once again, it goes back to we're trying to create vision and time for these businesses. And you're right, crystal ball. If you can reduce your margin, you can increase your margin of error effectively. That's the best thing a small business or emerging business can do.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of small businesses, they go in with this attitude of fail fast, scale fast, right? But if you're looking at this, the rate of failure is probably reduced.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what is it? Only 10% of small businesses get through to year 5.
That's crazy.
And I think 50% die in the first year.
Actually, I think when I started working at Birchal, my dad gave me a book and it was titled Why Most Small Businesses Fail, which is the complete opposite of inspired I felt after that. It was an interesting read, but it's crazy how many mistakes I think could be avoided if you've got the ability to kind of control your future from actually knowing what's ahead of you.
You just need to illuminate the problems.
Right.
One of the things that, like, as we've been at it for 3 years, and sometimes you've got to make mistakes yourself. It's like when you move out of home or you start driving or you ride a bike, you've got to fall off a couple of times and you learn.
Yeah, you've got to write your car off at least once.
You've got to have some scars. And you don't ride scooters in Bali. That's all I'll say. I've done that.
Say less.
Yeah. I've got a nice big gnarly scar on my knee for that. But yeah, it's one of those things that you want to know what the problems could be. And you want that little bit of crystal ball, but you also want to make sure they're not fatal. And then there's an old saying, you don't lose, you learn. So it's like, well, okay, we spent 10 grand doing this. It failed. Is it fatal? No, but we learned, so let's not do that again. And a good strategy allows you to see that and probably actually reduces it from blowing 10,000 to going 5,000, go, this is not working, let's cut that one off and pivot another way.
As a business founder, what's been your biggest mistake?
Getting ahead of myself. I think most business founders, especially in tech, I think probably the last 2 years has been really transformative for the industry, where it was like, 2021, dry powder everywhere, just go get VC funding, go grow, blah, blah, blah. And we avoided VC funding and still have. And that's why we're doing stuff with Birchal, because I like the fact that we're able to do things at our own pace and make our own sort of mistakes without influence from people that have got different values and interests for yourself.
Yeah, right.
So for me, like, the biggest mistakes I made was stuff that I'd made bets too early. Like, go to America, that was too early. We had someone over there in America. I feel bad actually because he was a really good guy, but we just weren't set up sales-wise. Our sales motion wasn't proper. It wasn't refined, wasn't optimized like it is now. So it's probably just going a little bit too early, but at the risk of doing that, you learn a lot from it as well.
Sure.
So I'm not a person that lives with regrets. I sit there and go, okay, I did this, I won't do that again because of this, this, and this. And I think good founders, I'm not saying I'm a good founder or a bad founder, I'll just say good founders look at things and go, okay, that didn't work, go to this. I think where people get really stuck on something and not let it go and not have short-term memory in that regards, that's where you sort of can get yourself sort of caught up.
And what was the biggest learning that you took from that?
Hire slow, fire fast is the great one. Trust your gut more. And this sounds really counterintuitive. Just don't listen to everybody.
Okay.
Go back to what you're trying to serve initially. And it sounds like, it's like, oh, geez, what do you mean don't listen to advice? No, listen to advice, but don't try to have too much counsel from too many people, because people can have, when you build to an investor, that's very different from building to a problem.
Okay.
And I think I was building to investors at certain points.
Right. Which
doesn't mean that investors aren't important, but sometimes they've got their own bias because they might have made money on real estate, or they might have made money on, or they could have put money into Canva initially, or they could have, so they've got these outlying, they're successful because obviously they're investing, but sometimes you've got to go back and go, well, actually, I'm trying to create what I'm trying to create here. They've invested in me and they've invested in the idea, so I've got to go back to being true to that.
Right, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And have you had investment in the platform before?
In Empiraa?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've raised since 2020 1.9, I think it is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And how did you go about raising capital before coming to the crowd?
Yeah, I went to angels. I was very lucky that we had the old Harry met Sally rule, like, I want what she's having. So suddenly someone would invest and they go, oh, I'm telling you about this strategy platform. This guy's probably a bit crazy, but you'll figure it out. And it sort of snowballed along that. We did speak with VCs, nothing against any of them. There's a couple that we just we're just not aligned.
Right.
Arrogance is the wrong word, but I know what I want to do with the business. Doesn't mean I'm uncoachable, we're doing the raise and you've coached us for a lot of this raise. It means also too that I don't want to completely take the business in a direction that goes away from the core vision of what we're trying to do initially, which was help hundreds of thousands of businesses become the best versions of themselves. That's what we want to do.
I feel like that's your tagline right there.
Yeah, I think we feel good about business, but that's what we want to do. We want to go back to that. So I don't want it to be just another, portfolio company that they just said, oh yeah, Empiraa does that little weird thing. I want VCs felt a bit like we're selling our soul a little bit at early days.
Yeah.
Down the line, I've got no doubt it will be probably a really good thing for us. We're talking to some really key ones in the US, but we've got revenue goals that we need to hit to get to those points.
Sure.
But they'll be growth partners, and I think that's a different mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And so why have you now pivoted to raise investment through the crowd?
Honestly, a lot of people have suggested. I mates with Michael from Thriday, who did a really good.
Oh, brilliant! He's been on the podcast.
Yeah, he did an amazing job with raising I had a great chat with him. Had a great chat with a couple other people that have done it, and I went, this just makes a lot of sense. Opening up the market to everybody effectively. So far, it's been a really good response. There's no doubt there. And so I just like, you know what? It makes a lot of sense. It allows a lot of people to invest smaller checks into it and be part of our journey. I've always had an aspiration of effectively listing, whether it's ASX or NASDAQ down the line or whatever.
Amazing.
So it just seemed like a logical step. Okay, let's start thinking like that and be responsible to multiple shareholders. So I'm not scared of that. I'm not scared of revealing financials. I'm not scared of doing that type of stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's about accountability. Our whole business is based on accountability. So I want to make sure that I'm accountable to shareholders and provide value for them. So, if someone turns around and invests $1,000 in Empiraa now, my goal, I take it really responsible, seriously, I should say, that I want to be the best investment they've ever made. That's my goal.
I love that.
So, yeah.
And what do you think that these shareholders will mean to you, not just from obviously a monetary side, like how do you think that they will influence your business decisions moving forward? Yeah,
hopefully they become advocates for the product. They're passionate about it. They turn around and go, actually, that guy's solving a real problem. We want to be part of that. And feedback is great. And I said before that not listening to too many people, that's true, but having that filter to sit there and go, someone might say, oh, I wish I did this. Well, actually but also explaining why we don't do X.
Right.
So someone said to me the other day, how come you haven't gone hard on AI? And I'm like, because I still haven't found a proper use case for it yet that serves the client. Now, moving forward, we do have one, which is part of the reason why we're raising it. But I want to make sure that if we serve it right. I don't want to just build stuff to tick, and this probably goes back to the VC stuff. Oh, put AI in there, you got to have this, you got to have this. It's like, okay, but suddenly we're fundamentally breaking the product and breaking what we're doing to serve a master. And it's like, well, our master is our client, is the people. The best investors are customers. Now, if we can get good investors that can come to us with good ideas and also advocate to their, the mates in their barbecue, hey, I just put $1,000 into this Empiraa thing. It's a strategy software, a strategy solution. Have you seen it? Nah. That's why I love having
talking.
I love having that public view of what we're doing, and I've never been shy of being vulnerable about it as well. Like saying, yeah, this is what we're doing. Sometimes we stuff up, sometimes we go really, really well. But anyone that's been in business knows that you stuff up a lot. But then when you do well, that's where you hone in.
Yeah, right. And obviously, you're the founder. You've driven this forward. How important is it for you to have a strong team behind you? Oh,
it's everything. Like Ash, who's our head of marketing and product, she's amazing. Ramel, who does our development, amazing. Our team offshore, amazing. Our directors. I couldn't do any of it without any of them. You need to have a good team around you because being a founder is a really lonely experience. And a lot
I
of people
hear this all the time.
Yeah.
So no one checks in on the founders.
No, because they think that and I speak to a lot of founders, same problem. And so I'll reach out to Brian from Lightcard or Michael from Friday or whatever, just touching, hey, what's going on? Just because it's such a lonely existence because everyone just sees your LinkedIn profile and goes, oh, you're killing it. Okay, cool. But I'm also dealing with supers. I'm also dealing with the tax department. I'm also dealing with this. I've also just had to hire someone, had to fire someone. Our dev environment just crapped itself. You're dealing with a million different things and it all comes down to you.
Yeah.
I've got an amazing board. One in particular who's a CFO of a pretty substantial business. He's amazing. Because I know what I'm bad at. And he's awesome at finance and doing modelling and all that sort of stuff. I know I'm not good at marketing, but Ash does all that. So I know I've got an eye for it, what works and what doesn't, but I've got no idea how to execute it. So it's really important as a founder to be not arrogant about your skill set and be really truthful. I'm no good at this finance stuff. Doesn't mean I don't know how to run. I'm good at looking at the bank account, watching that go up and down, but when it comes to actually modelling it out and going, okay, well, this is our obligations here. This is having someone that can do that is absolutely vital. And going, well, make sure that our BAS, all these things are sorted because these are things that you don't think about when you start a business. You start a business and go, oh, this is great. I started a business. Put a thing on LinkedIn, pat yourself on the back, and everyone gives you the thumbs up.
I could not imagine starting a business. I'm always so impressed by every founder that we speak to. It's not a small feat.
You've got to be a little bit crazy.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, you have to. You've got to be a little bit crazy. You've got to be naive and arrogant at the same time. But not arrogant in a bad way, but just have this stupid belief that you'll figure it out.
Oh, this is something I say to founders all the time is if you don't believe in your business and what you're doing, then nobody else will.
Exactly. I know what our goal is, the big, hairy, attainable goal, BHAG, whatever they call it. I want us to get to $100 million of revenue by the end of 2030 and list. That's my goal. Now I reverse engineer how I'm going to get there.
Yeah, right.
So I see the goal and I go, okay, all right, these are all the steps I need to do. These are all the steps I need to do. And that's why, I looked at Birchal as a really good opportunity because I'm looking at the steps going, well, actually, we do this well. We're really starting to get the disciplines of a public business without going public. We've got the disciplines of it where we're reporting, financially reporting right. We've got shareholders. So suddenly your mindset changes, and so you take that responsibility on. Where it's not just some people might see crowdsourcing as it's a cheap way to raise X amount of capital. Well, I look at it, it's a great way to raise capital, but it's also a great way to line your business up. And to actually go, okay, what are the financial things that we need to focus on that allows us to be the best version of ourselves moving forward? And people talk about, you're scaling your product, scaling your marketing, but how do you scale your business model and how do you scale your financials? How do you scale? And how do you, when you start really getting the big dollars in and you don't want to be, on AFR or Smart Company going, this company's been wound up or they've had to divest and sell the business that got $89 million down to $1 million to Woolworths. We all know which one that is. But how do you avoid those things? So it allows you to start getting these disciplines. I'm working on the investment docs, and that's not my forte, but it's allowing me to think about the business
It's eye-opening, isn't it?
Yeah, it's allowing me to. I'm looking at the business, going, okay, now I'm refining my strategy. Okay, we are refining this. We are refining that. Okay, this is it. It's allowing us to think about a business in a deeper level. So it's not just about and I think anyone that goes into a crowdsource situation if they turn around going, oh, I just want to raise $500,000 by just putting a couple of Facebook ads on, then don't do it.
Oh, it's a mix of art and science.
Yeah, you've just got to sit there and go, okay, what do I want to achieve? But then go back to, okay, the reverse engineering the goal. I want to get to $100 million. Doesn't mean we will, but if I don't aim for it, we won't get there. But how do I reverse engineer and go, okay, well, it's got to start with this, and starts with getting everything right.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait to see what you achieve with this raise and see what it brings on board for you as a founder and for the company in itself, so that people can be the best versions of themselves.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's all you want. Every business, no one starts a business going, I can't wait to get dragged into paying supers, doing BASs, dealing with the accountants, doing all that. Everyone starts with this unbridled optimism. They're going to open a cake. It doesn't matter if it's a cake shop, a food van, or a massive startup. Everyone starts with just this unbridled optimism, and it slowly gets worn away. And so what you want to do is give the power back to the business that they can control their vision and take control of the time and see where they're going.
I love it.
So, yeah, it sounds ridiculous, but yeah, it's an altruistic goal, but that's what I want. So,
honestly, listening to you talk about it, it feels like something that every business needs, is the opportunity to actually grow and scale with a bit of clarity and vision moving forward. Yep. And your product really holds the answer there.
Well, the other side of it is people sit there and they Google, how do I write a business strategy? 7 billion pages come up. So then they go, okay, I'm going to jump on TikTok, and you got someone for 3 minutes. Oh my God, this is how you think of it. And they do a dance. and then you jump on YouTube. There's 8,000 different ways to build a strategy. It's like, oh my God. So they're overwhelmed by information. Once again, so what happens? They don't do it. So it's like, okay, once again, put it all into a neat little package, and it takes from A, B, C, D, and off you go. So,
Love it. It's brilliant. And thank you so much for coming on and having a chat with me. It's so wonderful to hear how enthusiastic you are about the business and getting new shareholders on board.
Thanks, Emily. It's been fantastic.
Thank you.